New manager for your Baltimore Orioles, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You may have heard the news, you may not, as it has come out late tonight on a Sunday evening with football. National Basketball Association is back. We're in the midst of the World Series literally tomorrow night. We have breaking news out of Birdland, out of the warehouse. Smoke signals have been sent like they've selected a new pope. They have a new manager. Craig Albernaz joins the Baltimore Orioles as a new manager from the Cleveland Guardians. You've seen the tweet right there. Craig Albernaz. This was according to ESPN's Jeff Passan. 42 years of age is Albernaz. He was the associate manager with the Cleveland Guardians. As you can see, and there's the tweet there from old Jeff Passan. The Baltimore Orioles are finalizing a deal to hire Craig Albernaz as manager. Sources tell ESPN. Albernaz, 42 years of age, was previously associate manager with Cleveland and was a widely sought after candidate for open managerial jobs. He joins an O's team coming off a 75 and 87 season. So there you go. Craig Albernaz is officially the new manager of the Baltimore Orioles. Now, if you don't know who Craig Albernaz is, he was the associate manager, bench coach for the Cleveland Guardians for the past 2 seasons under Stephen Volk. Now, Stephen Volk is a really good manager, done a really good job with the Guardians, had them in the playoffs the last 2 seasons, and they play a brand of baseball which the Orioles, I think, could adapt and incorporate. They call it guards ball. They play small ball, they advance runners, they use hit and runs, they sacrifice with bunts and with the way that they approach the game of baseball and their approach at the plate. They make contact, and they don't have a lot of guys who hit 20, 30 home runs. They really have one masher, and it's Jose Ramirez, and they build their lineup around him. Guys like Stephen Kwan, etc. So that is what he's bringing here to Baltimore. Now, he was a finalist for Cleveland's managerial job in 2023, but it went to Volk, and he instead decided to stay and join his staff as a bench coach. Now, I do like the fact that Albernaz was previously the bullpen and catching coach for the San Francisco Giants from 2020 to 2023 under Gabe Kapler. That's important because we know about Samuel Basayo. We know about Adley Rutschman. We need someone that can work with the catching staff and someone who can manage a pitching staff. Can they manage a bullpen in the seventh and the eighth inning? Can they hold a lead, put the right guys in? He clearly has had experience with that in the bullpen and catchers. So that is a good thing there. I will give them a positive on that. Now, it does kind of feel like they went and just hired a maybe more experienced Tony Manzolino, maybe a more known Tony Manzolino, a guy who probably is going to come in and fit into the Oriole way. He's going to quote unquote be a yes man. He's not going to be too outspoken. He's going to do what Mike Elias and the powers that be want him to do and fall into their analytical mindset. Incorporate things they want to see will allow them to probably do manipulation of the lineup. So it's not an Albert Pujols, which I know we were waiting to see. It's not someone from the Dodgers or the Blue Jays or the Brewers or the Phillies. It is someone who I was really unfamiliar with, but these things can go really, really well with an unknown guy, or they can go really, really bad. And in 2 or 3 years, they could be looking for another manager. But this is a make or break season for the Orioles, and this was the first domino piece that needed to happen. I didn't expect it to happen until probably after the World Series, sometime in early November, definitely before Thanksgiving. But I thought they would go for a guy with a little more managerial experience as someone who has taken teams to postseason success. That is the one thing I do have with Albernaz's hire. He began his coaching career with the Bay Rays, which is good. In 2015, we know the Tampa Bay Rays, we know the Cleveland Guardians. They play this brand of baseball, which they need a lot of. They play small ball. They manufacture runs. They advance runners. They use sacrifices and different ways to show strategic ways to score runs in the game of baseball. And like I said, he worked with a bullpen. He worked with a catching staff. So I think that will be something good he's done before as well. He managed in high A ball for the Rays in 2018, minor league field coordinator in 2019 before going to the Giants to be the bullpen and catcher coach in 2020. Now, he was a catcher in the Rays minor league farm system from 2006 to 2013. So he's played the game. He also spent 1 year in the Detroit Tigers organization prior to hanging up his cleats as a coach. Now, the risk with Albernaz, he is viewed as a rising star and an up and comer around the game, but it is a surprise because only 1 year of managerial experience at the high A level for Tampa Bay 7 years ago. Now, if they were going to stick with inexperience, they could have stuck with Tony Manzolino. As I said, 60 and 59, as Brandon Hyde was fired after a 15 and 28 start. Manzolino was considered to be a real candidate on a permanent basis, and they kept him in the loop for the organizational hiring process. But Albernaz beat out Manzolino, who was more familiar with the team. That's another thing. Manzolino had experience, he had familiarity, and he just fit into what we were already doing. It wasn't going to take much of a difference. Maybe some of the coaches around him were going to change, but I was a proponent of maybe bringing back Manzolino and going all in for 1 more year. Now, I do want to see what coaches, what other pieces they put around him. Who's his hitting coach? Who's his pitching coach? Who's he going to have in charge of his bullpen and his catchers? Who is he going to have in the locker room? Is he going to bring in guys that have done it before, maybe former managers, guys who have familiarity with some of the players in the organization, maybe some players or former players or managerial guys who, have that connection to the Latin, the Dominican pipeline, guys who were in this organization in Major League Baseball? Because those are things that are very, very important when you look at a manager as well. He is considered to be one of the best young coaches in baseball, and he's known for connecting with young players, which I think was the selling point for Mike Elias as well. Now, we did know former Mets manager and current Yankee third baseman Luis Rojas and ex-Mariner skipper Scott Servias were the only known candidates for the Orioles. I hate that they didn't interview more people. They didn't go for maybe a little more of a veteran presence. Maybe someone, like I said, with the Dodgers, with the Blue Jays when they got done with the World Series, Phillies, Brewers. Hey, I would have took someone off of their staff. But I think out of the people that they interviewed, it looks like Albernaz has the best connection to young players, has been with the team that has won, done it, not necessarily with spending a lot of money, being one of the bottom feeders in payroll, using different types of ways, manufacturing runs to win, and using starting pitching and your bullpen to close out games. Now, time will tell if this is a good or a bad hire. Am I jumping out of my seat? No. Does it move the needle? No. But a lot of these guys you don't really know much about anyway, and you really don't know if they're any good until you actually see them manage and actually see what they do over 162. Like I said, we could be sitting here in another 2 or 3 years and they could be going through this again. Or we could be sitting here in another 2 or 3 years and he could be like Brandon Hyde was, a manager of the year, taking his team to the playoffs. But Albernaz has a lot of weight on his shoulder because if he comes in and fails year one, he probably won't make it past 2 or 3 seasons. If he comes in and doesn't connect with this ball club and they can't win more than 75, 80 games, it is going to be a major problem. And he's going to be the first guy, part of the house. He will be the first sacrificial lamb. So they bring in somebody from outside the organization. He's worked in the Rays organization. He's worked with the Giants. He's worked with the Tigers. And he has also worked with the Guardians. So some good have had and haven't spent the most money, especially with the Guardians. They play a brand of baseball that you're familiar with, and they have a lot of good young pieces. So we see what the Orioles are going for. Someone that can connect to the young players, can bring in and use analytics, has experience with the managerial, position, being the right hand man essentially to the guy, and he's ready to be the guy. Now we'll see if he can do it. He has, like I said, the managerial experience on the minor league level, has done it the past 2 years with the Guardians, who have been successful. So we'll see. But just wanted to come on here, do this today. It was a good day. The Ravens did get a win today. The Orioles have hired their manager. They didn't wait around. It's still 5 jobs open, so they got ahead of the curve. So they wanted their guy. They sought after him. They interviewed him. They clearly liked what they saw and they went and got him. They didn't wait another week or two for a team to scoop him up. So I do give them credit for that. We've been waiting for some type of news. Now this team has to go out and execute in the offseason. Mike Elias, this is where you come into play. You got your manager. That's one thing off the checklist. Now you got to go out, redo your pitching with the starting pitching in the bullpen. You got to add another bat to the lineup. those are things you're going to have to do, and you're going to have to up your payroll. You're going to have to spend money. You're going to have to pay to play, and that's going to be something that's very, very interesting with the Baltimore Orioles as we head into the offseason. Which I think the GM meetings, general manager meetings, are in a few weeks after the World Series, and then we'll be in winter meetings, free agency, and all that stuff. But Craig Albernaz, the new manager for the Baltimore Orioles, 42 years of age. So, as a young soul, he's not an old, guy who's been dragged through the mud of years and years of baseball. His experience working connecting young players, has worked with a pitching staff, with a bullpen, with the catcher. So, those are things I'm looking at now. Like I said, he's going to be able to come in and really get the right guys around him with hitting coaches and pitching coaches and bullpen guys. That is going to be the key. I would like to see some experienced guys come on his staff, maybe some guys from the Cleveland organization. Because Stephen Vogt was a hell of a manager, so if he's under him, he knows what he's doing clearly. And it seems like he connects well with young players, which is the biggest selling point for me. So if he can connect to young players, he can knows how to use a bullpen and pitching staff for catching, you know, catching conglomerate. Those are great things as well. So we'll see what he can do. And like I said, an old experienced manager that you may know about, not a hot commodity to a lot of people, but he's an up and comer and he's sought after. So maybe the Orioles have found their next young diamond in the rough when it comes to manager. He's what is he, the 44th manager in Orioles history? We'll have more content on this week. I'll do more videos as the Orioles are linked to an NL ace and potential off-season trade. So we'll talk about that this week. We got plenty of content. We cover the O's even in the offseason. Make sure if you're watching this right now, you swing for the fences and subscribe. Go ahead and bunt that bell. And make sure you go ahead and take it to the stands, hit a home run, and leave us a thumbs up. I'm getting out of here. Mr. Craig Albernaz is your new Baltimore Orioles manager. I'm sure we'll get a press conference probably this week, and we'll hear more from him. We'll talk about the NL ace and potential offseason trade, which the Orioles do need as well. And we'll see what they do with the checkbook and pocketbook. Will they open it up? We'll see. Sound off down below in the comment section. Yours truly, God's favorite host, right here on the Flex Zone Podcast. New manager. I'm 50-50. I'll let it play out. I'll see who he puts around him, and I'll see what they do in the offseason to really build this team up from what we've seen. We've seen Toronto go from worst to World Series. We'll see what the Orioles do this offseason. Sign off down below. Hit the like button. Hit the bell. I'll see you in the next video. Stay tuned for more Orioles content right here on the Flex Zone Podcast. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for watching, and let me know how you feel about Craig Albernaz as the next manager and where you think he could take this team.